This week I've been checking out 10 of what I think are the coolest and newest features in Microsoft 365, and it's so easy to miss them, but so important to know them. Stick around, you're going to learn something. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Andy here, Microsoft Certified Trainer, as well as a Microsoft MVP. So nice to see you. I really do appreciate you stopping by, especially if this is your first visit here. Well, this week I've been scouring through Microsoft 365 to look at what I think are the coolest and newest features out there, and there are literally gazillions of them. So I thought I would spend just, about 20 minutes or so. I thought you might like to go through some of them. All right. Now, if you've not subscribed to the channel, we love subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you won't miss out on the good stuff in the future. And if you enjoy the video, then please bump that like button. It really does make a difference to the channel. And comments, questions, we love them too. Get them down below and I'll do my very best for you. So this is a busy session, so make sure that you watch the whole thing right through. I've also time sliced everything as well for your convenience so that you can come back later, because I know you guys are busy as well. All right, so I think without any more jibber jabber, I think it's about time we get on with the demos. Okay, so I'm going to kick off my number 10 option here in Microsoft 365. I'm going to come down to Administrative Units and I'm going to click on Add. Now, I'm going to call this my Oslo AU. So this is my administrative unit for Oslo. I'm going to click on Next and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to assign a user administrator. Now, bearing in mind that the user admin is the second most powerful role in Azure Active Directory. And I'm going to assign this to Adele. So she's going to be my assistant in Oslo. I'm going to click on Next and I'm going to go ahead and create this AU. Now, probably you're thinking, hey, Andy, there's nothing new there. I've seen that all before. But if I click into the AU here, we now have a number of new options. So not only can I add members, which again, we could always do this. So I'm just going to add in a few members here. So I'll just add in a few more so we've got something here. So I'm going to add in my members. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a group. Now, this is new. So as well as adding groups, you can now also create groups here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say I want to create a Microsoft 365 group, and I'm going to call this my Oslo Sales. Okay, I'm going to call this Oslo Sales, and I'm going to assign a member to the group. So in this case, I'm going to assign Mod, which is me as an administrator, and I'm going to assign some members. So Adele, Alex, and again, I'll go with Bianca, and I'll just add these three people to the group. I'm going to click on Create. Now, the one thing that you'll notice about groups in Microsoft 365, certainly in this screen anyway, is they do take a little bit of time to come through. So while that's chugging away, the other new thing that I want to mention is that you can also add in devices now, which is super cool. So if you've got a manager or some IT guy in a specific office within your organization, then you can assign him the rights to manage those devices in that location. Absolutely fantastic. Now you're probably thinking, Andy, what's the difference between AUs and OUs, organizational units? Well, in Active Directory, on premises, of course, you could assign group policy to organizational units. Now, although you can't do that here, this is perfect for administrators. Okay. Now, if I come in here, there you go. You can see the Oslo Sales has come in. Now, just one little thing, if I go back into that role and administrators here, scroll down, go back into the user admin settings, you can now see that Adele is now an administrator, but only for the Oslo administrative unit. So again, and by default, it's a permanent assignment, but you can change that. So if you want to update that and just make it temporary, then of course you can do that. So there you have it, a couple of new features in administrative units. So coming in at number 9 is continuous access evaluation, and this little puppy can be found in Azure Active Directory by clicking onto the security blade and going into conditional access. This is super easy to miss, but very, very powerful feature. I'm going to go into a conditional access policy that I created previously, and for this you simply scroll down to the session control. And in the session control, we have something here called continuous access evaluation. And what this does is continually working with technologies like Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud Apps, Sentinel, auditing, monitoring, and so on. And it's looking for that anomalous activity from either a user, device, or an application. And if it detects anything out of the ordinary, it will immediately reprompt the user to enter their multi-factor authentication credentials. So it doesn't delete their account, it doesn't log them out, but it will prompt them for their credentials once again. Super cool feature and a really nice security tool. For my number 8, I'm going to take a look at Microsoft Entra. Now, Entra, you'll probably noticed if you're a familiar user in Azure Active Directory, is here. And the idea of Entra is that you have a new, simpler interface that will now give you access to not only Azure Active Directory, but also permissions management. Of course, last year, Microsoft purchased CloudKnox. And if you've not seen that, then definitely go and check that out. It's very interesting. Also, the next generation of ID. So a little bit like, your cards in your wallet. The fact that you can now have a verified ID. I'm going to do a dedicated session on this in the not too distant future, so check out that. But for now, check out the nice look of Azure Active Directory. So you can see that they've redesigned everything. It's very much got a look and feel of, I suppose, kind of Microsoft 365. So we've got all our users here. You've got deleted users. You've got your user settings here. You've got your groups. And I really like the fact that you've got your group settings here. It's much kind of easier. So the way that they've designed their menus, it's nice and clean and easy to find. I love the devices here. So the fact that you can view all of your devices that you've got in your organization, and you can also manage the BitLocker keys directly as well. And this is currently in preview. So this is a great way, if your user loses a device or damages a drive or something like that, you can go in and you can recover the data that's on their disk. In addition, we've got applications, of course, enterprise applications here. Also in here, you've got access to things like consent, so dealing with user consent, as well as the awesome application proxy feature. I love this because this allows you to, I suppose, extend your on-premises applications kind of into the cloud. So you can install that agent on-premises where the application is, and you can publish it into the cloud, and it's a seamless experience for your users. So that's really nice here. Now, other things that's here, you've also got protect and secure. Again, makes a lot better. I mean, rather than going to the security blade, I always used to say that and people go, where's that? Now you can see everything's in one nice place. So you can protect and secure. We have conditional access here. You've got identity protection, which I've covered numerous times. Check this out though. Identity protection has had a refresh. So just look at some of the reports that we get here. Really nice reporting tools now. And of course, it makes it even easier to find and diagnose potential problems. So that's awesome. Authentication methods, of course, last video I covered things like the temporary access pass for new employees. If you've not seen that, definitely check that out. It was really interesting. The other thing that's also quite cool as well is we've now got certificate-based authentication, which is currently in preview. So if you want to go ahead and enable that, of course, we can upload our digital certificate and we can make that available to all our users. So again, the user's device, the user would have to have a digital certificate. I kind of get the feeling that this is going down the smart card route. So one of the only reasons to keep ADFS on premises is for smart cards. What do smart cards use? Digital certificates. I kind of get the feeling this is going that way. So we'll see what happens with that. Of course, you've also got things like password reset. So that's SSPR or self-service password reset. We've also got custom attributes here. So again, you can enable custom attributes. You can switch this feature on. And if you want to add in any additional attributes, so things like if you use a HR application or anything that you just might require locally, you can add those additional attributes in. It's currently in preview, but again, very cool. How to do it, just click on the link. It'll take you through to docs.microsoft.com. Again, this is a bit of an interesting one here, risky activities. So this takes you through, again, this is a combination, I suppose, of what we used to get in identity protection. So they've kind of split that menu, which is kind of interesting. But you can see here, it's showing me any kind of risky activities. So I can go in and I can view the user's risky sign-ins. But the key thing here, of course, is that if the user had been compromised, I could confirm the user's compromised. I can block the user. Again, these are really important tools, and I do feel that they were kind of buried away in the menu. So it's really nice to see this here as well. Now, other things that we've got here, permissions management, of course, this is CloudKnox. So this is the permissions management for applications. So it's always fantastic to see exactly what permissions that users have. And you can see you do need an additional license for that. I'll get that arranged and give you a demo next time. The other thing that we've got is verified ID. So verified ID, we're all familiar with digital IDs in our wallets on our iPhones. And the idea of this is you can load up a digital ID with all your credentials. So your driver's license, birth certificate, all of that kind of stuff. And then if you ever have to prove your identity, it's right there in front of you. So you don't need to go off and look for all of those credentials. So that's going to be a really exciting technology. One of my friends, John Craddock, has some fantastic content on that. And he's just about to launch a new website on this. So definitely, I'll keep you informed on that. So Microsoft Entra, secure access for a connected world, all in one place. Absolutely love it. For my number 7, I'm here in Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to come into the apps pane here, and I'm going to go into search, and I'm going to type in admin. Now, if you've not installed this, then I got to be honest, definitely check out this app. This is the admin app for administrators, and it installs it directly into Microsoft Teams. Check it out. You can manage your users, you can manage your teams, you can manage subscriptions, and you've also got all your settings for things like meetings, messagings, files, and webinars. Absolutely awesome. It rocks. Download it today. Now, Exchange Online has been going through a number of changes recently, And if you've not been in there for a while, the next time you go in, you'll notice that there's quite a few more options in the menus. And they're doing a serious effort to migrating the classic Exchange Admin Center through. And I have to take my hat off to things like the mail flow settings here. It's just so much simpler. We've got alerts and alert policies here that work really well. If you want to connect to, let's say you're working with a partner organization, it can be another Microsoft 365 organization, or of course it can be a Microsoft partner as well. So definitely check out that. Other things that we've got in here, as I say, you've still got the classic Exchange Admin Center here, but other things which are really nice. If you go into settings and if you go into the mail flow settings here, then you can see here we've got some additional security features here which I think really do make sense. So things like turning SMTP authentication off for your protocol. Don't use things like TLS. That's not a good idea. But I love the fact that you can now have storm protection, and you can set those thresholds if you want. So storm protection, of course, is just that little bit of extra security for your organization. This is great. Allow users to recall messages read by the recipient. Again, for security reasons, you may or you may not want that in place. So definitely click on those mail flow settings here. The other thing that we've got here, other features. And wow, check this out. So these are all those other features that probably haven't been migrated across from the old admin center. So it's really nice to see that everything is here. And I'm pretty much guessing that this list will get shorter and shorter as they bring these settings across. So for example, if you're doing a hybrid setup here, again, it will take you, these are just, again, it's just links really to the 365 admin center, but it's really nice to see them in there and the fact that everything is now in one place. So if you've not checked out the Exchange Online Admin Center, definitely go and have a look at that now. It's really good. Okay, so for my number 5, I'm coming in here into SharePoint, and there's been a couple of things here worth noticing. One is in reports, and this is data access governance. Now, if you're a compliance person, security person, this is absolutely awesome. Okay, so you can view reports on people who are sharing links within your organization. So again, there are a number of reports. Again, it talks about, you know, it gives you some hints and tips and things like that. But you can see here, anyone who's using the anyone links, people in your organization, and also specific people. So I can click on the anyone, I can run that report, and it will then give me a list of that. That's really cool, don't you think? The other thing that's really interesting, just before we leave this, is if I go into content services, we now have a term store. So the term store was always available in SharePoint Server, but it's really nice to see that it's been migrated into Microsoft 365, and it's looking great. So here we have the taxonomy, or your complete set of search terms. So imagine this is the structure of your data. And here you can see that we have our taxonomy, for example, by department. You can have different departments, and of course, as well as the taxonomy, you can also have these individual search items here. So, and you can edit any of these. So for example, if I click on one of these search terms here, you can see I can customize it. I can manage the usage settings. If I want to add in any additional languages, I could move it around and so on. It just means that the structure of your data is so much easier to organize and so much easier to find things as well. Now, just the other thing that I wanted to mention, if I go into the migration tab, I don't know if you've been in here recently, but there's something missing. That's right, Mover is missing. Mover was a product that Microsoft purchased a couple of years ago, and I really like it. So you think it's gone. Actually, it's not gone. So app.mover.io, you'll be okay. Mover is still here, so don't worry about it. And you can still then move data between tenants using this particular tool. It's really nice. Now, the only thing I can think of is the reason why it's like this is I'll bet you that they're going to be moving it, or they're going to be doing something here with it. So watch out for that in the future. But I really like Mover, and it's a shame to see that it's gone. But just to let you know, for those die-harders out there, it's still there. Coming in at number 4 is the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and you definitely want to come down and check out this. This is the new health portal. So we have the new health dashboard in here, and this gives you a complete overview of your service health. And the other thing you probably notice is that this little menu has been increasing in length over time as well. So you also get a look at things like Windows release health as well. So of course, Microsoft 365 users get copies of Windows 10 or Windows 11 that they can install. So again, this is just at a glance that you can know the latest updates of what's happening and if there are any known issues with Windows. So that's really nice to see that. We also have the message center here in 365, and again it's really important that you monitor the messages. So again, it talks about things that are coming up, so what's new, what features, if there's any issues that are going to potentially impact the service. It's really important that you monitor that. You can also do product feedback, and I've said this before, but guys, the guys at Microsoft really do want your feedback on the products. Network connectivity absolutely rocks. I love this, especially if you're doing geolocation. So if you're geolocating your data to multiple data sources, then this is fantastic at providing insights and information on each of the various data centers. So if there are any technical issues at the data centers and things like that, this is a great place for that. Likewise, we also have the new software updates preview. So this is new, the Microsoft 365 apps. If there are any updates in here, then again, this is where you can come in and you can check out these new updates. So the health area of 365 is definitely something that you should look at. Also, just a quick tip, of course, I know this is not new, this is old, but I just love this. You can switch to dark mode. So if you sometimes find the glare of the white screen a little bit harsh on the eyes, then you can switch to dark mode and light mode. That's great. Again, it's an old feature, but I absolutely love it. Now, one of the products that's really impressing me recently is Microsoft 365 Defender. And here in the Defender for 365 portal, there has been quite a few changes here. In fact, I may actually decide to record an additional session on this. But as I scroll down, not only do we have the Learning Hub, which is awesome, and they've improved this no end. There's lots of training materials, white papers, videos, and so on. Definitely go ahead and check that out. We also have the new Assets page, and this will show you not only your devices, but it will show you your network options and IoT tools as well. In addition to that, we also have identities. And in fact, if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that we also have cloud apps. And this is Cloud App Security, Defender for Cloud Apps, of course. And we've now, or Microsoft has now integrated this into Microsoft 365. And the interesting thing here is that this is, if you go into the Cloud App portal here, you can see that this, in fact, is the discovery portal. So what they're doing is it looks like they're doing away with this portal and they're bringing in each of the various elements. So here you can see that we've got the cloud app, you've got the discovery stuff here, you've got OAuth apps, you've got the cloud app catalog here, cloud app discovery, and of course app governance, which is an extension of cloud app security. All right. Now, in addition to that, of course, as you'll see in the Defender for Cloud Apps here, we also have Investigate. And if I click into Investigate, you have the activity log and users and accounts. And you think, hang on a minute, that looks familiar. And you're quite right. So what they've done is they've now added in this new area here. So as well as cloud apps, if I scroll up just a little bit more, we now have identities here, and it's the same screen. So it looks like they're taking the various elements out of Microsoft Cloud App Security. Now, the other thing that we've also got in here as well is you've got vulnerability management. And again, this is the Defender Vulnerability Management Dashboard. And again, you get something called an exposure score. Now, in this case, I don't have any devices deployed within my organization. This is just a demo platform. But you can see here that if there are any potential vulnerabilities on those devices, then you're going to really see this as a great window into what's happening. Not only will it provide recommendations, but it will also provide remediation options as well. And it can show you things like the inventories of your devices, any weaknesses that are on those devices, and also the event timeline. So how long you've had those devices in. And you can also perform a baseline assessment, which I really like. So you can come in here to the baseline assessment and you can create different profiles for your different device types in here. Mine's just a little bit slow at the moment. All right, so I can go into profiles and I can say, hey, I want to create an assessment for a particular type of profile. So I can call this I'll just call it demo, and I can say, right, click on next. And what kind of software am I using? So again, you can choose a specific version of Windows, for example, here. So for example, if I choose Windows 11 here, and I can say, do I want to choose a benchmark? So again, yep, okay, I'll just go with this benchmark. And do I have to conform to a specific compliance level? This rocks, by the way. So you can see, yes, okay, level 1, let's say BitLocker. I can click next, and it will then allow me to go in and configure the various settings. So you can see these are my default configuration settings. This is the minimum level of security that I want to have. So it goes through each of the products, and I can then choose what is going to be my baseline. So once I've done that, I can click on, I'll just select a couple here. Once I've done that, I can then say, hey, do I want to select a group of devices? So whether it be laptops or PCs, and you can also filter by desktop app as well. So I'm just going to go all device groups just now. And again, I'm going to submit that. Now, of course, I don't have any devices at this point. So you can see that the assessment profile is now created for me. Now, obviously, once it starts detecting the devices in my environment, you can see it will then start giving me some reports. So this is quite interesting, and as I said, I'm going to do a dedicated session on this in the not too distant future. All right. Now, in addition, you can see that we've also got the cloud apps security as well. So this is really nice, the fact that I can come in here and I can say, hey, I've got some potential vulnerabilities here. It's a very dark orange color. And you can see that it's actually taking me into Defender for Cloud Apps here. So it's giving me a score of those applications, and you can see it's giving me an app score. Now, ultimately, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for potentially risky apps. So I could kind of let's say I could adjust this here and show me anything less than, let's say, 2 or 3. And of course, if there are potentially dodgy apps here, I can go in here, I can look at, for example, a little bit of information about the company, their security. So there's an awful lot missing here in terms of compliance. You can see it's not looking so good. And in terms of things like legal, in terms of GDPR, then this app is not compliant. So risk management is a particularly useful tool, or risk assessments, I should say. And I can then say, you know, this app is a little bit too risky for my organization. I can allow the app, or I can block the app. Another solution is that you can also monitor the app as well. And this will monitor it over a period of time. So how is the app behaving? Is it doing what it should be doing? Or is it behaving for example, it might be masquerading as ransomware or something like that. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to block that app, you know. So that it's really nice to see that we've got this now in 365. So again, by the way, if you've not seen my presentation on cloud app security, then definitely check it out. You'll find it in my security playlist. All right. So as I said, loads to talk about in security. So Defender for 365, definitely check it out. There's a lot of new stuff in there. And again, I'm going to follow up this session soon. For my number 2, here I am in Microsoft Purview. This is the admin center for everything to do with compliance. And again, just like Defender for 365, this is a product that's definitely going through a number of changes. So first up, I just want to show you one of my favorite tools because it just absolutely rocks here. This is Insider Risk Management. And Insider Risk Management is awesome. Obviously looking for potential insiders. Again, this is all to do with Microsoft's zero trust perspective. The fact is that you trust no one and you verify everything and everyone. Now, just before you get started with insider risk management, it's worth noting that you need to go into settings. And a couple of things, do you want to show anonymized reporting or do you want to show it with the user's name? Now, you'll find that quite a number of Microsoft security and compliance products does this. So if you're having issues and you're not seeing the correct username, that's probably why. You can also specify exactly what you want to monitor. So these are called indicators. So again, for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to basically select everything here. Now you'll notice that I don't have any device indicators because I've not got any external devices at the moment. And again, likewise for endpoint and risky indicators, things like physical access indicators, Defender for cloud apps, of course, so things like multiple fail logins, unusual location access, things like that. That is really good. If you're part of the health industry or the cloud for healthcare, then this is something that may interest you. And again, things like risk score boosters, you can just monitor those things if you want to. Now, interestingly enough, for this particular tool, obviously if you're monitoring potential insiders, you probably start monitoring them when they leave the company, whether they left voluntarily or by choice. So what will happen is it will continue to monitor the user's activity for 30 days after they leave and up to 90 days before they leave, or in the past. It will go back and have a look at that information. All right, so these are the kind of the key things, and there's some other settings here as well, but definitely go in and check those out. So going back into insider risk management, essentially what this involves is going into policies here, and we don't have any policies, so let's go ahead and we'll create one. Now there are a number of kind of recommended actions here. Just before you start creating policies, I would remind you that you would need to go into permissions. And of course, as well as Azure AD roles, you also have Purview roles. So even though you may be a global admin, you may not necessarily have the rights to manage and deal with compliance. So this is especially so for things like e-discovery, compliance, the search features, privacy management, and so on. And the reason for that is, again, it's for good security. It's for good compliance. Just because you're a global admin doesn't necessarily mean you have access to all this content. So I'm quite happy at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back into Insider Risk Management. And I'm going to go into my policies and I'm going to create a policy here. So again, I'm just going to click up here. Now, again, this has recently changed. So you can see that we have a number of different templates here. So it's suspected data theft by departing users, general data leaks, priority users, of course, salespeople, management, they move on. We're not accusing anybody of anything here, but it does happen. General security policy violations, of course. Things like health record misuse, risky browser usage. This is a new one. This is kind of cool. So I'm just going to choose one that says general data leaks. And you can see here, it's including all of these features. So not only is it looking for things like data loss prevention policies, if you've got any bridging connectors between yourself and your on-premises data, you can also set up a triggering event. So, let's say the user performs selected exfiltration. They're downloading content that they don't normally access. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to access that one. And I'm just going to call this is my Oslo. We'll call this Insider Risk Management Policy. Okay. And I'll click on next. And am I going to include all users and groups or just specific users and groups? For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to choose everyone. Do you want to specify specific SharePoint sites or not? So again, I could say, yeah, these users have access to specific sites. So again, for example, if they're salespeople, they may get access to certain sites, and you can just add those in if you want to. The other thing is, do they have access to specific sensitivity labels? So, absolutely. So things like confidential, you might generally want to monitor that. So things like highly confidential, if anybody's copying or using any of those documents with that type of information on it, again, that could be potentially hurting for your company. You can also add in sensitive information types as well. So if you're using things like data loss prevention policies, then I'm sure you'll be familiar with these. So for example, if I scroll down, I'll just come right down to the bottom here and I will say, what have we got? Let's have a quick look. So things like, let's say US physical addresses, UK physical addresses. I'm just going to choose a few of these. It might be credit card numbers, might be social security numbers, things like, sensitive driver's license records, credit card numbers. Again, you might want to add that data in. All right. Now, you can also add up to 50 file extensions, and you just basically separate them by a comma. So doc, XLSX, PDF, and so on. You can add all those in. Do you want to add in any trainable classifiers? For the purpose of this demo, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click on next. So choose a triggering event. So if the user matches a data loss prevention policy, all right, and you can basically say whatever the default policy is. So let's say the US financial data. Okay, so if the user's copying or sending or you trying to attempt to use financial data, it will pop up. If the user performs any exfiltration, for example, downloading content and so on. Again, things like this is the reason why this is grayed out is because I've not got devices onboarded. So I can click on next and you can see these are the indicators. So again, I can choose the indicators if I want to. And here is this is the list that I just edited. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to accept that list. So I'm happy with that. And you've got the different categories as you saw. I'm going to click on next. Again, I'm just accepting those sequence detection options there. Do I want to use the default thresholds? Yep. So how many attempts? I'm just going to accept the default settings here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to submit that policy. All right, now, so that's the insider risk management policy. Now, as I say, insider risk management is monitoring users, especially if they leave the company. But one of the things it's monitoring by default is Azure Active Directory. So one interesting thing here now in the Compliance Center is that we now have data connectors for compliance. So this is where you can add in or take control of your non-Microsoft data. So for example, if you're using HR systems that integrate into Microsoft 365, you can integrate with those systems. So in other words, whenever an employee puts in their notice, the HR system, it will automatically update any policies that you create. So it's really nice to see that here in the Compliance Center or Microsoft Purview. So for my number one, I have to come into Microsoft Teams. And here in the Teams Admin Center, there are more changes than you can shake a big stick at. So going into Teams here, of course, if I go into Manage Teams, one of the big features at the moment is that I can go into a team here. So for example, into Contoso. And one of the things that you might want to do here is you might want to create a new channel. So of course I can add a new channel, and of course shared channels are now in here as they are in the client. So no longer do you need to go through that preview settings. Shared channels absolutely rock because of course you don't need to log out and log back in again, and they will just appear as standard channels in your list. So that's really nice to see that coming in. Other things that we've got here, if I come down and let's say go into users, of course those guest access settings have been updated here. Teams devices have also had a major update as well. So it's nice to see the Teams store is actually up and running again now. You've also got, you can set up Teams rooms on Windows devices. We've also got Surface Hubs, and Microsoft are doing lots of offers to try and push that out. In addition, as well as the displays, the Teams displays, you've also got SIP devices. So if you're using older, let's say Skype for Business phones and things like that, then you can bring those in here and you can manage those as well. So again, you don't need different platforms to work with that. So that's really nice. In meetings, of course, one of the big things is they've recently updated the conferencing, the audio conferencing. So you can now take advantage of that, which is really super. Coming into voice, we now have Operator Connect as well as direct routing. So direct routing, of course, if you want to do it yourself. Operator Connect is if you really don't know what you're doing and you want to take advantage of third-party organizations. So there's a whole bunch of operators out there that you can use, and these are pretty much spread across the world, and many of them have some great offers. All right, so definitely check those out. If you're in the US, of course, one of the things you definitely want to do is you want to go into the billing section in the admin center, and in the billing section you can actually take a trial for calling. Yes, so again, depending on where you are in the world, you might get some free calls and things like that just to try it out. So as I said, you've also got direct routing here as well, which is really cool. And other things that we've got, if I just scroll down, you've also got enhanced encryption policies, mentioned that before. So this provides end-to-end encryption between your callers. And the interesting thing, by the way, that's off by default. In addition, you've also got some great analytics and reports, and you can now set up reporting labels as well. All right, so just a few cool features in Microsoft Teams. Check it out. So there you have it. That's my latest top 10 of cool and new features that, quite frankly, you simply just need to know. Hey, I would love to know what you would have included in your list as well. Literally, I mean, there's loads to choose from, isn't there? Hey, listen, I really appreciate you stopping by, and thanks so much. If you enjoyed the session, bump that like button. It really does make a difference. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, of course, we love you to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you won't miss out on the good stuff in the future. Now, if you've got any questions about this or any of my other sessions, then by all means, please get that down below and I'll do my very best for you. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time around. You stay safe. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.